in your living room, what were you, as a catalyst for the book, what were you seeing as common themes within relationships that sparked some of the very tangible concepts that people can be working on through conscious loving?
One of the big problems that people in relationships have to somehow get through is that almost every relationship argument is a race to occupy the victim position. Mm-hmm. One person says, "You're doing it to me." And then the other person doesn't say, "You're right, I am doing it to you." They say, "No, wait a minute, you're doing it to me." I'm the victim here. And you even see that in politics. Yes. You very seldom see a politician say, "I take responsibility for the way things are." Mm-hmm. It's always the other people are responsible. Mm-hmm. If they would only vote for me. But it's all BS. It's all BS. And because the only genuine transformation has to start from within. And something you have to have a crisis in your life sometimes, or a catastrophic failure of an expectation where you thought you were with the love of your life, and all of a sudden you realized, wait a minute, I'm in a toxic old pattern. The fact that this person looks good is a problem, not a solution. And that happens a lot. That happened to me a lot during my 20s. Mm. I was 34 when I met Katie, and I had just had a big breakup, taught me a lot. And I came to the conclusion after this breakup that all of our problems were caused by one of three things. One is one of us wouldn't tell the truth to the other one about something. And then that concealed thing, whatever it was, something you did or something you felt or something you didn't feel like you could share with the other person, you keep that inside, and then you begin to project onto the other person. In the book, we call it withhold, withdraw, and project. Mm-hmm. As soon as you swallow something true, you pull back from the relationship, and then you begin to project onto that person that they're not safe, or there's something wrong with them, or they're not treating you properly. But we started taking full responsibility for that. Instead of blaming anything on the other person, we just assumed that we were the source of whatever the glitch was. And both of us were doing that. And so we both took responsibility. That was the second thing, that we learned that if we could go from that blame move to going, what was my contribution to that conflict? How did I cause that? What is it about my programming that made it inevitable that my partner would do ... whatever they did. So it's taking radical responsibility. And like I said, in politics, you never see that. You see one politician after the other just whining about whatever they're whining about and blaming it on the other people. So we're big advocates for speaking authentically and taking responsibility for things that come up rather than blaming the other person. The third thing that couples really suffer from is both people come into a relationship being 200% responsible people, and then they start racing to occupy the victim position and pretending they're not 100% responsible and blaming it on the other person. Well, there's only one way out of that, and that's to claim the responsibility for it. And at the same time, what you do when you do that is you open up a direct pipeline to your creativity. Because if you think about it, if you're saying, it's your fault, you're doing it to me, what you're doing is you're disowning all of your creativity and putting it on the other person. You're saying, I had nothing to do with creating that. It's your problem. And that burns up a lot of energy in relationship. I know I did back in my 20s. And literally the month before I met Katie, I had this big realization. I realized that every problem was either caused by I didn't tell the truth about something, or I didn't take responsibility for something and I blamed her for it. And the third one was I blamed her for not having enough time to spend on my creative projects. So in other words, out of my lack of commitment to my creativity, I blamed the other person. And that's why in a relationship, you really have to keep your attention on your own creative process, because that gets lost a lot of times in the drama that's caused by the race for the victim position.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.